living in Fort Pierce, Florida, a mermaid's perspective. I thought we'd have a little bit of our summer crush wine. This one happens to be the Old Florida Red. And I needed to do this on a day when there's just not a lot of people here. So I thought sipping a little wine while we have a discussion about living in Fort Pierce, Florida from a mermaid's perspective might actually be interesting to you. Let's talk about Fort Pierce, Florida. Notice a lot of things about Fort Pierce, Florida. This video is not the pros and cons. We'll get to that later. But if you hang in there with me through this video, I'm going to share some aerial video while we fly over and some drone footage while we fly over Fort Pierce, Florida, as well as show you some of the things that this wonderful mermaid loves about Fort Pierce, Florida. Now in just a few minutes, we're going to switch over and show you some of that drone footage and show you what it's like to be in downtown Fort Pierce, Florida, driving through Fort Pierce, Florida. You know, it's a beautiful small town with lots of local shops. Entrepreneurship is shown throughout the entire town. There are some stories here that have been here for multiple generations, and you're going to see those throughout as we drive through the town. The beautiful thing about downtown Fort Pierce, as you'll notice as we drive through, is that you don't have to pay for the parking throughout downtown Fort Pierce. It is still one of those places that parking is free. And in many places, that is not the case. Having moved up to this area from down south in the Delray Beach area, which yes, I was down there for a long period of time as well, when I notice up here that we don't have to pay for the parking, it really does make a difference. Some of the other things that you'll notice as we drive through town, there's street parking as well as you can park in some of the local parking lots. Noticing all the shops and supporting small local business. Take you for one of those drone videos flying over top of our farmers market on a Saturday, because yes, we also have a farmers market on Saturday as well. There are all kinds of vendors, and during season, which typically runs from October until April, we have a ton of vendors that come to town and they open up and they spread out the tents here as well. Now there is a bakery here that sells out almost immediately every Saturday, whether it's in season or not in season. So if you haven't had one of those pastries, now would be the time to definitely turn off this video and go get one of those pastries, unless you're relocating. And if you are, let me know. I'll make sure that I save you one of those pastries when you purchase a home. So there's all kinds of different homes here in Fort Pierce as well. We'll get to that in a few moments, and I'll share those with you as we do a driving tour around the different parts of Fort Pierce, Florida. Let me show you some of the things that I absolutely love. We have murals all across town. You'll notice this one, greetings from Fort Pierce, Florida. Or maybe you notice this one located at the Manatee Center. This one is an absolutely beautiful mural painted by Kenny McGuire, and he stood in the water to do this painting. And have you noticed? There is a hiding mermaid. Now when you watch this video and you come to town, or maybe you're a local here, you're gonna have to take a picture of yourself showing that mermaid that has vanished, because that's actually the name of our shop as well, the Vanishing Mermaid at the Manatee Center. And then tag me in that if you would please, because I would love for you to tag me in that picture. The tag information is below in this video, or you can simply hit the tag and tag Tamela Staubs. Now let's move on to some other things here. We have an amazing marina, our city marina, as we fly over top of that. I'll show you some of the boats that are located here in our city marina. And then we have parks strewn throughout our town. Now I'm not saying everything's perfect, but this video is not about the pros and cons. That'll be the next video. In this video, I wanted to give you a mermaid's perspective of living in Fort Pierce, Florida. So let's take you to some of those homes that we talked about as well. And then we'll come back to some of the other attractions. Some of the homes and different types of homes here in Fort Pierce, Florida. You could live in a condo if you would like to. And we don't have ones that go that high up. We have condos that are typically 4 stories. not much more than really 6 stories unless you go over onto the island, which is all still considered Fort Pierce, even though it is South Beach on South Hutchinson Island. You'll also find that there are townhomes located here. We have an amazing hospital, world-renowned hospital. It's a level 2 trauma center as well, and I'm going to take you for a drive through there so that you can see Lawnwood and see our local hospital. If it's education and higher education that you're looking for, well, we have Indian River, and you can go there for your higher education. Let's take a drive through there as well so that you can see some of the available higher education that we offer here in Fort Pierce, Florida. So many things that you'll hear about Fort Pierce, Florida versus all of the other amazing things that this mermaid actually loves. Let's talk about Director. Now I'm going to drive you up to Director so that you can see how tall Director is and how high it goes up into the air. This is for those transatlantic yachts that come in through our port because yes, Fort Pierce also has a port. Oh, and did I mention that we also have an international airport? Yes, we do. So maybe you want to fly your private airplane out of our international airport and take yourself right over to the Bahamas. That's a possibility if you live here in Fort Pierce. We do have some new development going on, which we've just broken ground for King's Landing, which I'll show you a video of that next, so that you can see where that's going to be located downtown. Looking for shops, restaurants? Oh my goodness, do we have a lot of restaurants? Well, if you're looking for dining on the water, you could go over here to Cobb's. Maybe you want to go to Krabby's. We have dining on the water, and if that's not enough, you can go right across Seaway to the other side and be on the island and have lots of dining. I'll show you Chuck's in another video when we actually do that other video on the Hutchinson Island video. But for now, let's stay here on the mainland. We do have the railroad that goes across, which we're going to take a flight over now. We have a local Ace Hardware in our downtown. And then we have local grocery stores. We have Aldi, Winn-Dixie, and Publix locally here. Now the cost of living video will come up next as well. You'll be able to go into that if you want to know what the cost of living is here. But I will tell you, it is one of the more economical towns to live in. We're located in St. Lucie County, and I'm going to share with you a map that shows you where Fort Pierce, Florida is in relationship to everywhere else. Fort Pierce is a pretty large area. There is a western part of Fort Pierce, and then there's also an eastern part of Fort Pierce as well. Now we're going to pause for a moment so that I can enjoy a little sip of this Summer Crush wine. This one's called Old Florida Red, but let me tell you, they have a Marilyn Monroe as well as some others. And this is not season, but during season, this place is packed. They also have 5Ks through the vineyards, which in a few moments, I'm going to walk you through and show you some of the vineyards as well, and walk you through this amazing facility. As well as the water behind me is stocked with fish, and it is a family atmosphere. So if you would like to, not on a day like today, because I came here during a weekday so that I don't capture anybody else. So here at the Summer Crush Winery, we have live music in the fall, typically during our season. And if you don't know about season in Florida, which you probably do if you're watching this video, because you're either local or you might be relocating here to Florida. And if you are, I'd love to help you out with that because, well, you can't tell I do love my Florida. Love my ocean as well. So where I'm sitting right now at Summer Crush, I'm probably about 15-20 minutes from the ocean right now. And as you can see, maybe you can see the vineyard behind me. They actually grow the grapes right here on property. So yes, Florida does have the ability to grow grapes. They're sweet grapes. So this wine that I'm having now is actually a very sweet wine. So if you like a dry wine, Florida grapes might not be the place. But we do have a lot of wineries here. We also have a lot of distilleries. We also have, as I take you down through the downtown area, you're going to see some of the breweries that we have. We also have Pierce Cider Works, which in a moment I'm going to flash up for you the Fort Pierce song, and that's actually played by Johnny Depp, and that is at Pierce Cider Works.
4 beers, I love living up 4 beers. Sound of the water's always in my ears. Well, I think I'll spend the rest of my years. Swam that channel when I was a kid, just like my pa before me did. I fish every dock I'm not supposed to fish. Used to backflip off of the little Jim Bridge. Now where I learned this, the sound of the water's always in my ears. Where I think I'll spend the rest of my years. Swam that channel when I was a kid, just like my pa before me did. I fish every dock I'm not supposed to fish. Used to.
So there's an awful lot to do in this amazing town. Some of the shops carry nautical themes that you might want to go shopping in. And then you have the ocean so that your scales never get dry. Now, we're not called the Sunrise City for no reason. I'm going to share some of these sunrises with you as well because, well, I love to share the sunrise with you. The sunrise is absolutely amazing. It is different every single day that you wake up. Let me share some of those with you now. Each one of our beaches is a little bit different. You'll notice the beach by Ocean Village is a little bit different than the beaches that are further south. You could also go here to Jetty Park. I'm going to share some video with you of Jetty Park as well as this aerial video as we fly over top of Jetty Park. Now you could come here and do your fishing if you would like to, or just come to hang out with your sweetheart, or maybe take a picture right here and then post it. Maybe you're visiting in town, or you've decided that you want to make this your forever home or possibly your seasonal home. Would you like to buy an investment here? All of those are available to you. And maybe you just want to come right here to Jetty Park and you want to do some fishing. Also located at Jetty Park are some famous restaurants and bars. The Jetty Lounge that we're going to come to in just a moment as we take this walk around. You'll notice one of our local hotels right here on the beach. And then you'll also be able to see restaurants, our tacos, hurricanes, and then also here Jetty Lounge. Yes, we do have some paid parking as well. And if I didn't show you, you have swing sets that you could just decide that you want to swing on also. Now, what else does this mermaid have in store for you for Fort Pierce, Florida? And as I said, the pros and cons video will come, and I'm sure there's going to be some comments on this video about that, but save that for that next video. Or maybe you're going to watch that next video in regard to what the cost of living is in Fort Pierce, Florida, because we can go into that as well. I shared with you that there's varied types of living here in Fort Housing. We have homes that are in every price range. And if you're looking for some down payment assistance, we have that available as well. There are programs available to help with the down payment assistance, and we have homestead tax here. If you're not familiar with that, well, definitely let me know. If you live here in Florida, you have portability, which means you can port your tax or take your tax from one home to the next when you sell one home and move into the next. I'll tell you the reasons why I love living here. Because if you can't tell, being a mermaid, I don't like for my scales to get dry. So there you have it. I hope this has helped you gain some insight into what it's like to live, work, and play on the Treasure Coast of Florida. If you found this video helpful, then please like and subscribe. If you have any questions about the Treasure Coast of Florida or ideas for a future video, please be sure to leave a comment below. I get feedback, calls, and suggestions all the time from people just like you who are interested in what life is like on the Treasure Coast of Florida, and I love helping you out. So if you or anyone you know is interested in moving to the Treasure Coast of Florida, please be sure to reach out. Give us a call, send us a message, or send us a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do to get in contact with us. We've got your back on the Treasure Coast of Florida.